Imagine starting every single morning like this. You're rushing out the door. Your ride is 3 minutes away, and your keys are nowhere to be found. Not on the dining table, not in your jacket, not between the couch cushions. 5 minutes pass. Now you're late, stressed, and leaving the house promising yourself, "I'll clean this place tonight." But after an exhausting day at work, you walk back through the door completely drained. Unopened delivery boxes on the table, dirty mugs in the sink, random items scattered on the floor, a heavy sigh followed by, "I'll just do it tomorrow." Clutter doesn't arrive all at once. It accumulates quietly, item by item, until your living space starts feeling heavy, noisy, and suffocating. You're not alone in this trap, but there's a better way, one that doesn't require spending your weekends scrubbing. Now step inside a typical home in Japan. Space is tight and life is fast, yet the moment you walk in, you feel instant calm, as if the house itself is breathing. There are no expensive organizers or luxury tools here, just a handful of quiet micro habits that stop mess before it even begins. In this video, we're exploring 7 Japanese habits to help you maintain a calm, clutter-free home, even with the busiest lifestyle. These aren't just ordinary cleaning hacks, they're a philosophy of living, a mindful approach to space and belongings. Let's dive in. Number 1, 0 homeless objects. Everything should have a home. Think about the last time you put an item down on a random surface and whispered to yourself, "I'll just leave this here for now." That single phrase is the silent killer of a peaceful home. In Japan, nothing in the house is allowed to be homeless. Every single item, whether it's a spice jar, a pair of scissors, or a daily charger, has one non-negotiable spot it belongs to. There's a subtle, draining kind of exhaustion that comes from spending 5 minutes every morning looking for the same 3 things. Your keys, your glasses, or the TV remote. The fix is embarrassingly simple, but its power has less to do with neatness and more to do with how the brain handles small decisions. Without a fixed location, putting something away requires a micro decision. Where should this go right now? By the end of a long, exhausting day, your brain simply defaults to, "Here is fine." You toss your keys on the counter or clothes on a chair, and that temporary placement is where chaos begins. When every object has a designated home, tidying becomes completely automatic. You're no longer deciding where to put something, you're simply returning it. This isn't just about empty drawers. Using vertical organizers, baskets, modular bins, or clear labeled containers takes this system to the next level. You can glance at a shelf and instantly know where everything goes without searching. And there's a powerful mindset behind this rule. If an item doesn't have a home, it doesn't stay in your house. This boundary alone forces you to be intentional about what you own, naturally cutting clutter at the root. To start, pick just one category today, like your daily keys or bathroom items. Give each object one specific hook, tray, or bin, and make returning it non-negotiable. Ask yourself right now, how many things in your house actually have a permanent home versus just being thrown somewhere near where you last used them? Number 2, one-touch rule. Use, return, done. In Japan, this concept isn't just a cleaning tip, it's a natural rhythm of daily life. The rule itself is deceptively simple. Never handle an object twice. Imagine a quiet morning in Tokyo. A woman finishes her morning tea, takes the mug directly to the sink, and rinses it in 30 seconds. One deliberate action, one placement, and it's done. Now compare that to what usually happens in our own homes after a long day. You walk through the door, drape your coat over a chair, drop your keys on the dining table, leave your shoes right in the middle of the entrance, and think, "I'll put it away later." That single phrase, "I'll do it later," is where clutter is born. Clutter never forms in a single day. It's built by thousands of temporary placements. Every time you leave an item in a temporary spot, you aren't saving time, you're creating a small, unfinished task for your future self. And here's the hidden psychological cost. Every misplaced item becomes a subtle visual reminder that your brain constantly registers in the background, pulling at your mental energy even when you aren't paying attention. The Japanese way eliminates this mental load completely. The journey of every object is simple: use, return, finish. Dishes get rinsed the moment they're set down. Mail gets sorted the second it enters the house. Shoes go straight to their spot instead of sitting by the door for days. Nothing lingers, so mess never gets a chance to accumulate. One critical rule to make this work: the object's home must be genuinely easy to reach. If hanging your coat takes more effort than throwing it on a chair, the temporary spot will win every time. If you adopt just one habit from today, let it be this one: handle things once, not twice. When you eliminate temporary stops, tidying stops being a heavy weekend chore and becomes a simple, seamless routine. Both of these habits are about where an object goes the moment it's set down. The next ones look at something different: the small residue left behind even after everything has been put away. Number 3, the 30-second sink reset, Mizumawari. A bathroom sink can look reasonably clean and still carry a thin film of water and toothpaste that never fully dries between uses. The fix in many Japanese households is called Mizumawari, keeping the areas around water genuinely dry, not just rinsed. After washing hands, after brushing teeth, after doing dishes, one cloth wipes the sink completely dry, every single time. It takes about 4 seconds. Research from the Princeton Neuroscience Institute has found that small, unresolved visual clutter competes for the brain's attention below the threshold of conscious awareness. This means a damp, spotted sink registers as a tiny signal of disorder dozens of times a day, whether it's consciously noticed or not. The same 4-second habit extends to the shower and the counter near the tap. A damp sink might not look dirty at first glance, but it's one of the few messes that quietly gets worse every hour it's left alone, until it needs real scrubbing instead of one quick wipe. Number 4, micro clean. Every day, small actions, big results. Why does a Saturday spent scrubbing the entire house so rarely feel like it actually solved anything? Daily micro-cleaning replaces the big cleaning day with dozens of tiny ones. The counter gets wiped for 20 seconds right after breakfast. A single shelf gets straightened while coffee brews. Nothing takes longer than a minute. On its own, each moment looks like it accomplished nothing. But these small efforts work like compound interest, nearly invisible day to day, until weeks later the house never needed a real cleaning session in the first place. Pairing each task with something already happening, wiping the stovetop while water boils, sweeping one corner while the kettle heats, makes the habit stick without needing extra willpower. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to a clean home isn't a lack of time. It's waiting for enough time to do it properly, when properly was never really the goal. So far, every habit has been about small daily actions repeated in the moment. The next 2 shift towards something slower, what a home holds on to, and where the outside world is allowed to stop. Number 5, Mottainai. Own less, value more. The hardest part of keeping a home tidy usually isn't cleaning what is there. It is deciding what shouldn't be there in the first place. Think about your own home for a moment. How many old chargers do you have that no longer fit any phone? How many plastic containers with lost lids? How many mugs in the cabinet that never get used? Or that one junk drawer that feels like a small museum of forgotten items? The most common justification is always the same. Keep it, it might come in handy someday. Japan approaches this problem through a concept called Mottainai. While there is no single direct translation, it roughly means never letting the true value of anything go to waste. Many people misunderstand this. They think it means hoarding every old item forever out of guilt. But Mottainai is actually the exact opposite. It is a habit of asking, honestly, whether an object still has an active role in your daily life. Look at the things sitting in your drawers. An old cable, a coat that no longer fits, or notes from years ago. Many of these objects don't belong to the life you are living today. They belong to a version of your life that is already past. Holding on to them out of guilt doesn't honor them. It just traps them in darkness where they sit unused, which is really more wasteful. Releasing something you no longer use so it can be recycled, donated, or passed to someone in need, or keeping it indefinitely just so it can gather dust on a shelf. When an object has served its purpose, bidding it farewell with gratitude is a sign of respect. That is why Japanese minimalism never feels cold or empty. There's a warmth to it because every single item in the house has earned its place and serves a purpose. Every extra object doesn't just take up physical space, it demands your attention. It needs to be cleaned, organized, and moved around. Try a small experiment today. Open just one drawer in your house and ask each object inside, "Are you part of my life today?" If the answer is no, let it go. When you stop holding on to what was, you finally make room for what is. Number 6, Genkan Mindset. Shoes off, stress off. One habit almost everyone associates with Japanese homes is removing shoes at the door, and it deserves a mention, even briefly. The entryway, or genkan, marks a clear boundary between outside and inside. Shoes come off there every time, which keeps outdoor dirt and dust from ever reaching the rest of the home. A University of Arizona study found that most of the bacteria on a shoe sole transfer directly onto a clean floor on first contact, which means every step taken indoors in outdoor shoes is a small deposit, not something that happened once and stayed there. A small mat, a shoe rack, and a basket of indoor slippers by the door recreate the same boundary in any home. Some guests may need to keep socks or shoes on for medical reasons, so a boundary that bends for exceptions works better than one enforced without question. Number 7, think vertical. Let empty space breathe. Look around a small room, and the default instinct is almost always to add more storage to the floor. Another bookshelf, another cabinet, or another storage unit. But in Japan, where square footage is extremely limited, people rarely look down. They look up. The secret to making even the smallest room feel open and breathable lies on your walls, not your floors. Instead of crowding the ground, Japanese design utilizes vertical space, slim hooks for kitchen tools, hanging racks inside closet doors, or elevated floating shelves. When belongings move off the floor and counters, something magical happens. The usable floor space stays completely clear, and the room instantly feels twice as large, simply because your eyes have fewer cluttered surfaces to land on. But this habit goes much deeper than just clever wall organization. It connects to one of the most beautiful concepts in Japanese design, ma, the deliberate value of empty space. Think about our usual habits. The moment we see an empty shelf, we immediately place a decorative object there. The moment we see an open corner, we put a chair or a plant there. We feel an unconscious urge to fill every void, as if an empty space means a house is incomplete. Japanese philosophy teaches the exact opposite. Empty space is not wasted space waiting to be filled. It is a vital element that allows a room and your mind to breathe. Just like the silence between musical notes is what gives a melody its beauty, the empty space around your objects is what brings calm to a room. A shelf doesn't have to hold something to be doing its job. Sometimes what a room needs most is the part that has been left completely alone. When people hear about Japanese minimalism, they often think it's about throwing everything away. But in reality, it is about creating space for what truly matters. When you leave breathing room on your walls and floors, you aren't just organizing an apartment. You are creating a quiet sanctuary for your mind. Looking back at these 7 habits, you might notice something surprising. None of them require extra time. None of them cost money. And none of them ask you to overhaul your life overnight. The secret behind a calm Japanese home isn't a miraculous cleaning product or an extreme minimalist lifestyle. It is simply a collection of tiny, quiet choices made throughout the day. It's wiping the sink dry in 4 seconds. It's hanging your coat on a hook instead of tossing it on a chair. It's leaving an empty space on a shelf and letting your home breathe. When you change how you treat your space starts changing how you feel. Your home stops being a place that demands your energy at the end of a long day and becomes the place that restores it. So don't try to change everything today. Pick just one habit that resonated with you most. Clear one drawer. Assign a permanent home to your keys, or simply leave a little empty space in your room tonight. Because a peaceful life doesn't begin with a grand transformation. It begins with a single, mindful choice right at your front door. Thank you for watching. And if this video brought a little clarity to your day, subscribe for more content on mindful living. Until next time, take care.